Superintendent of Schools for Fremont Public Schools, Mark Shepard, to join us this morning. So welcome. Nice to have you here.
Well, good morning. It's great to be here.
Yeah. We got a lot to get to. As we always, at first, we try to update people on what's happening COVID-wise through the schools. So why don't you give us an update there?
So I think, as we look at our COVID numbers, we continue to kind of mirror what's happening within the community, what's happening within the area. Last Friday, we had reported that we had 39 students out with a positive COVID test, and I think 11 staff members. As of yesterday, we have 40 students out and 10 due to a positive test, 10 staff members due to a positive test. And so it's remaining relatively consistent. It's up, a little bit from where we were a couple weeks ago. But I think the important thing is it's not concentrated in any one single building. As of yesterday, we had 4 buildings that had 1 student who had tested positive. We had 1 building that had no students who had tested positive. And then our largest number was at the high school. Yesterday, we had 13 students that were out due to a positive test. But that's, keeping that in perspective, that's 13 students out of 1,500. The other thing that we continually watch is we look for epilinks. And so we work closely with Three Rivers Public Health. Epilinks are students who are on the same team, like say at the Johnson Crossing facility or at the middle school. They're in the same classrooms, they're in the same sport, in the same clubs. And that seems to be the logical link as to where that COVID connection came from. Might be one of the 3 students would have maybe a link to a family member, but the other 2 really don't have another link besides school, and they're in the same classroom or they're eating at the same lunch table, something like that. When that occurs, then we go into what we call advanced protocol, and we have the students on that team, the students in that classroom, wear masks, and then we make sure that the close contacts are at home. And then also, the message that we continue to message is if you are sick, you need to stay home. Because what we have experienced, the few epilinks we've had were, in my mind, preventable, just from a standpoint of the student may have been sick for a few days, they kept coming to school, and then all of a sudden, we have some spread within the classroom. But I think parents, for the most part, are doing a really good job. Now the vaccine is available all the way down to 5-year-olds. So, we're encouraging people to consider getting the vaccine. They need to talk it over with their doctor. They need to make their own decisions, and it's strictly voluntary. But we will offer opportunities, and we are offering opportunities for them to receive them in our facilities. We're not giving the shots. Three Rivers is doing that, but we're making our facilities accessible if parents want to access them.
Sure. It seems like a lot of people are considering that. How about on the other side, the teacher side? Are you? I know it's a difficult part. This is a difficult year, just like it was last year. Are you hearing more from teachers or less?
On the teacher side, the bigger challenge that we've had this year has been with substitutes. And last Friday, we were down 14 subs. And what that means is we had teachers that were out due to a variety of reasons, not just illness, but we had 14 sub positions that were not filled. And so, this gives us an opportunity on this radio show to share with the community that, maybe you have a teaching certificate, maybe it's even expired, but you taught, or maybe never taught, but you got a degree. You can come in and fill out paperwork, and we can issue what's called a local substitute certificate. Even if your degree is not in education, you may still be eligible for a local sub certificate. So we encourage people to consider that. You can contact Kevin Earlywine and the HR office at 402-727-3016. You can go online onto our website, but consider doing that. It's relatively good pay.
Yeah, I was going to say
bumped that up over the last couple of years. Yep. But it gives you an opportunity to come in and help us and help our students. My daughter Samantha is student teaching right now down at Wahoo Public Schools, and she's had to cover a lot of classes because, as a student teacher, one of your really quality experiences that you get is when you get to run the class yourself.
Right.
And unfortunately or fortunately, with COVID and with having a sub shortage. It's not isolated to Fremont Public Schools. It's across the state. She's had the opportunity to cover some classes, and so it's good. She's getting experience not just with the third graders that she works with on a daily basis, but also some other grade levels as well down at Wahoo Elementary.
Yeah, no, that's good. And again, those opportunities are available. And again, you guys are very helpful if someone does want to get their certification back. You can take them through the steps for that too, right?
Yeah, if they just let their certificate lapse and they want a full-blown teaching certificate, they can certainly work with us. We'll help them navigate through the process. We did that with a former teacher of ours a couple of years ago that now is a state legislator. But for the subbing part of it, it doesn't require the full certification. We can get them a local sub certificate, and basically they just need to pass a background check and fill out the appropriate paperwork.
Good deal. How about the bond project? Let's talk a little bit. Give us an update on how things are going there. I know you've been a lot of meetings. I know that Brad Dahl and Roger Slauson came in on Tuesday on Tiger Talk, and they talked about some of the projects and some of the things they've been working on. We had a meeting yesterday, or Tuesday, I guess it was, where we talked about Milliken Park. We got our first look at what Milliken Park School can look like with walls. Milliken Park was a 1970s design, open space, open concept school. Not a lot of walls, bookshelf separating classrooms. Yeah, that's the kind of school we had in Hardington.
It's the kind of school I went to in Illinois.
Yeah.
And the challenge is when you think about safety and security, which was one of the 4 tenets of our bond issue, you think about, we have a very inclusive model of education right now with students with all types of strengths and all types of challenges in the classroom. And when you don't have walls, those sounds just travel throughout the building. And so from a safety security standpoint, from a teaching and learning standpoint, we're going to put some walls into that building. And the good news is because of the open design concept, it's kind of a wide open palette. And,
right.
So we got our first look yesterday at a couple of different options as to how walls could go into that building. We'd still maintain it as a 3-unit building, so have the ability to have up to 3 kindergartens, 3 firsts, 3 seconds, 3 thirds, 3 fourths, but actually have walls. And I told the architect group the first time we met, I said, I built the same house 3 times, and one of the reasons I built it that way is I like it, but number 2, it's a pretty efficient model, and we don't have a lot of hallways, because those are costly on both sides of the equation. And so they've kind of designed it with that in mind. And so we're going to have some information to share publicly soon in regard to Milliken Park, and we'll go out and share that with the staff there first, get their reaction. But it's exciting, and we continue to move forward. The other thing that they shared with us was all the information related to geothermal. Ground source geothermal and wells. And so in that particular case, for example, I think they're talking about like 90 wells would be drilled that would then feed that building with ground temperature water,
right,
as opposed to a boiler and a cooling tower. So much more energy efficient from a long-term maintenance standpoint. There aren't a lot of moving parts. You're utilizing what's underneath us, which is the ground, to radiate the heat, and then heat pumps actually transfer that heat in the classroom. And so very efficient system, a system that has the ability to even go to a higher level of filtration of air, which we know during the COVID pandemic, that's been on people's minds.
Oh, for sure.
We've done a lot of air quality testing the last year and a half, probably more than we've ever done. But and our air is safe, but we can even take it to another level with new systems.
Yeah, and design continuing on the Washington, Howard, and Claremore, but also the CTE programming. You continue to, progress forward on that.
We do. We're going to have a standalone CTE building that will be either attached or close to in proximity to the current high school. With the idea being it's a planned forward, as I think they talked about on Tuesday, where eventually down the road, a new high school could be attached to it on the same site. But what has to happen first is we have to develop the programming that's going to go in there. So that way, the classrooms, the large spaces for labs are, the appropriate size, the appropriate configuration for the programming. And so we've started that process. We work closely with Todd Hansen and Metropolitan Community College. We'll work closely with our community partners. We're using our welding program as kind of the model. I think a lot of people are aware, but maybe not everyone. The welding program, we have 5 dual credit classes. So the 5 classes that students can take over the course of a year give them credit not only for high school graduation, but also towards a degree at Metropolitan Community College. And then there's also a local certificate that they can take to some of the local manufacturing plants that need welders, and they can bypass a lot of the HR process as long as they can get hired otherwise. And they need welders still, so it's been a good process for us. We've had partnerships with Belmont, with Rosenbauer Equipment, with All Metals Market, with S2, and just a number of organizations. And those partnerships are what really provide the strength for those programs. So as we continue to work on our other programming, we're going to be identifying partners and getting with them. And that's important because we want high wage, high demand, high skill jobs for our students.
Yeah, and these are those positions pay very well and keeps people good citizens right here in the Fremont area too.
Yep, exactly.
Next week's going to be, I know last time we talked, you were talking at that time about maybe adjusting the schedule. What's the schedule look like for next week?
So the schedule from last year's calendar when it was developed and adopted by the Board of Education is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we'll be off for the Thanksgiving break. We continued to look at our COVID numbers. We continued to look at what some other school districts are doing. A couple in the metro now are extending their break to include Monday and Tuesday. At this point, we are not. We're going to stay with our Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Probably our biggest concern is when we have 40 cases, if we're going to let out an additional 2 days, we're certainly, we could have more than 40 down the road. And then what are we going to do? So I think as long as the cases remain kind of in the current format, they're not concentrated in any one location. Right now, our plan is for next week, contrary to the rumor mill, we will have school on Monday and Tuesday.
Okay. Winter sports practices began on Monday. Did you get out your swimsuit and go swim with the swim team? Or
I did not, and that would be a scary sight. So that will not happen, Chris.
There'd be a lot of heavy breathing there too.
Huffing and puffing. It would not be good. Yeah. So. But yeah, we've got all of our winter sports going full swing now with practices. They'll start their events the week after Thanksgiving, so that's exciting. That's a fun time of year again. We had a great fall sports season this year, and we anticipate another great winter sports season. And then I think as you guys talked about on Tuesday, it's not just sports that we've done so well in. I heard the report yesterday that we have a number of students that are participating in all-state music, so band and choir. We had one student who's 4 years in a row, all-state band, and first chair of clarinet.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
It is.
And our band did really well this fall with marching as well. But, we get into the winter sports season. Hopefully we can maintain the protocol that we have. We'll take temperatures when people come in the doors. Right now, we're not requiring masks for events, and hopefully we can stay that way. We will have to watch as we travel out of town to other communities. Lancaster County, Lincoln is still under a mask ordinance.
Yep.
I've been down there a couple times in the last couple of weeks, and I always kind of forget, and then I have to run back to the car and grab a mask.
I do too.
Or run to Walgreens and grab a mask if I don't have them with me. But and then, the other thing that we'd like to say is we really wish the Archbishop Bergen football team the best of luck. They're going to be playing for the state championship again this year. And so, go Knights.
Yeah, that'll be fun on Tuesday. We'll have the broadcast and have a lot of fun with that also. So looking forward to that. But I think that about does it, doesn't it?
That's a mouthful, but yeah I think it does.
All right, Superintendent Mark Shepard, thank you. We appreciate it as always.